This is the Donner L1, a modernized update to the Roland SH-101, a classic synth used by such artists as Aphex Twin, Boards of Canada, Square Pusher. And in this day and age, if you're looking for an SH-101 type synth, you have options. You can get the little one, you can get the expensive one, you can get the Behringer one, and now you can get the cheapest one because right now the L1 is on sale for $259. And for a little analog mono synth with a little sequencer, that's not a bad deal. But is it a little too good to be true? Welcome to Trial by Synth. This is an excellent put together layout. I really like it. I mean, it's obviously based on a very famous, practical, and legendary synth. So it makes sense that if you just take that and bring it to a nice little sleek package like this, that it's gonna feel good to use. We have a neat little oscillator section here with some morphable wave shapes. We got noise, external in. Envelope 1 is our filter envelope. Envelope 2 is the amp envelope. Very simple LFO section. And we got a beautiful filter. Unfortunately, when the synth arrived, it didn't work. I couldn't get any sound out of it. I was trying to reset it because it was stuck in something called test mode, which is like the calibration mode at the factory to make sure all the buttons work and stuff. Thankfully, a couple days later, they put out an update explaining how to fix that, and I was able to get it up and running, which I do appreciate that they were quick to respond to fix this issue. However, that wasn't the only problem I encountered. I did encounter a couple more that I will explain as we go on. The oscillator section is probably my favorite part. It's so simple. We only have one oscillator, so when we're bringing up like the triangle, all we're doing is shaping our one oscillator as a triangle, but if we bring in the sawtooth, we're just introducing that shape into that wave shape of the oscillator, and we can start to bring in like the square, and of course the suboctave. And I love it so much that it really bothers me that I ran into the issues with this synth that I did. Depending on which screen you're on in the menu, there is audible electrical interference that is coloring the signal. So you can hear it on this page. Now it's gone. Now, it's not a total deal breaker, but it is pretty disappointing after the whole test mode fiasco, and I decided I'm gonna make as much music as possible, and if at the end of this 30-day return window, I can say to myself that yes, this synth makes me want to make music, then I will keep it. But if it doesn't do that, then I'm gonna have to send it back. This is a fantastic sounding filter. You got your filter amount, you got your resonance. One thing that's important about the behavior of this filter is this keyboard slider right here. It chains the filter frequency amount to where you're playing on the keys. Then we can do things like raise the resonance to self oscillation and then turn down our oscillator and then just get only resonance. We can also introduce a little bit of movement to it. And of course, the very first thing I had to do with this filter was make some acid. By the way, sorry to interrupt real quick, but if you're enjoying this video, please like and subscribe. Also, I have a Patreon where people can support the channel. Otherwise, let's get back to it. One of the big selling points of this synth is that it has an extra envelope. The original shared one envelope between filter and amp. If you go here into the menu section and you go to the envelope, you can see envelope merge right now is off, meaning we have two separate independent envelopes. But if we turn that to on, now all the information is only coming from envelope 2. Now, I assumed, because I'm so used to having two envelopes already, that I would probably never use this feature, but I preferred actually just having one. And I mean, that makes the most sense. That's how the synth is heard on all the records that I love. That said, I'm really glad we have two envelopes, you know, like that acid sound that I was making earlier, you know, that's two different shapes that the filter and the amp are following. It opens up a lot of options. I think it's really cool that they added the extra envelope. We also have an external input, which means we can put whatever we want through these envelopes and these filters. So I had a little fun putting some old ambient recordings from my phone into the sequencer and then having the notes play over it. We also have CV and gate out, so we can interact directly with any modular gear. I had some fun using the sequencer to control my modular gear and then sending that in through our external input and then combining that a little bit with the oscillators as well. Pretty useful if that's something that you need. We also have a glide section here, so if you turn it on, the speed of the glide can take a really long time. That's way too slow. Really nice for leads. LFO has a couple shapes. We have our triangle, square, sample and hold, and noise. I really like using the noise as just a way to kind of dirty up the tone because you don't have any distortion built into here. But whether you're using the filter, it's very grainy. Sounds like it's just on the edge of breaking apart. And if you hit this button right here, the LFO can also go really fast. This is especially crazy when we bring it over to the filter. The sequencer is kind of where I ran into a little bit of trouble, but there were a couple things that once I understood, it was way easier. Although this is where I kind of ran into my second big problem. I was trying to use the sequencer of the L1 and I was trying to sync that with my digitone, and I was sending MIDI clock and MIDI transport, and what would happen is I would hit play and it would do the first couple notes right, and then it would just kind of get tangled up and it would not sound in time. And I couldn't get it to make this mistake consistently. Like sometimes it would work perfectly. This is a not inconsiderable issue, though it is an issue that they could probably fix. But again, when I realized that was happening on top of all the other stuff, I was like, man. Now that aside, I do like this sequencer. So I'm gonna share with you the couple of things that helped me figure out how to use this. So we're gonna make a little sequence. So first we need to load a blank sequence. Let's go down and let's pick empty 17. So now if we hit the record button, we're going to be able to punch in notes. If we just hit this button and now we see our notes out in front of us. Of course, we have rest and tie as two different directions that we can give to the notes. So note, rest, that means a blank spot. Another note, And then we can do a tie, which means now that note is going to hold for that step. And then rest, tie. And this is where I got a little messed up too. If you look right here, it says 16 out of 16. So you think like, oh, okay, I must have put in 16 notes. No, that means we are on the 16th note right now. So we need to pick that note. For that note, I'm going to pick a rest. So now it says 17 out of 17. So if you were looking at it thinking, oh man, I did one too many notes, you did not. You needed to hit 17 out of 17 because now it's asking you, what would 17 out of 17 be? Choose that note. We don't want to choose that note because we're done. So I'm just going to hit this button. And now we have a little 16-step sequence. Let's hear how it sounds. The Donner L1. Now that I've had a chance to make a bunch of music with it and really go in deep with all these features, I'm left with a really positive opinion about the way the synth makes me feel. It sounds great, but I always knew it was going to sound great because it's just an SH-101 style synth that's been repurposed into this like more modern package. So that was never the question. The question became, is that something that I treasure enough to then make up for the fact that I feel a little bit cheated by some of these shortcomings? And I'm not taking it personal, but it is something I have to consider, especially if I'm going to be reaching a verdict today. So objectively, I have to say that if those issues are not fixed, I cannot recommend it. But on a personal level, on a makes me want to make music level, like inspires me and now I can't imagine not using it in the future level, I dig this instrument. So the question of whether I'm gonna send it back or keep it, my verdict is I'm keeping it. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And that's it. That's all I got. Thanks for hanging out. This is Slumpfish. Peace.